We are live. This is the market update. Welcome to the decoupling market update. The legacy kaboom. The moment where we do Bitcoin to the max. Is Bitcoin boring? Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no, it's not. Matter of fact, everybody in legacy is about to become a Bitcoin maximalist. Want to find out what that does to altcoins? Don't go anywhere. Checked AI coins lately? And oh, by the way, the orange man is on Jerome Powell's case. Is that the most bullish thing for Bitcoin you've ever seen? Is Jerome Powell a bad actor? Does he want you to eat bugs? I'm like, well, I thought the Fed was supposed to be independent. Yeah, They're not independent at all. At all. Matter of fact, they've been a participant in this nonsense where they enabled, seemingly, the U.S. government to spend $1 trillion every 5 months. So this whole thing where it's like, well, the Fed's independence is on the line and the dollar needs to go down. Folks, the dollar needs to go down anyway. The dollar needs to go down because the U.S. has spent $1 trillion every 5 months. And it just so happens we have the unintended consequences of the tariff thing, and we'll go over it. So if you want to know what's going on in legacy, you want to know where Bitcoin is going, you want to know where the next altcoin plays are, and you're wondering why this is happening to begin with, because according to crypto Twitter, it was winter on Friday. The YouTube member area. Congratulations to Toby, who has been calling for the decoupling for some time. And her next predictions are going to come true very soon. Congratulations to her. We'll give her some official love today on Twitter. Don't go anywhere for that. And, oh, by the way, congratulations to our Patreon members. Patreon members, boom. Here's the key. Altcoin overtime, printing preparation, 21 hours ago, right before this thing took off. I'm rather proud of it. Get in there. That's the middle tier offering. And what I keep trying to sell to people on that is there's the chat group. Like the guys in the chat, like one guy in the chat got everybody out of Ohm. Another guy in the chat said, hey, Bill, hey, can you look at Render? I'm like, oh, my God, these AI coins are exploding. Like, I'm helping them, and they're helping me. And if you look at that altcoin overtime piece, you'll see what I'm talking about. That is a very economical way to get involved in this Bitcoin conference in Vegas. I continue to pound the table on it. First, I thought there was the reason you should go was because there was no reason to go. Now I think you should go because I think it could be the biggest announcement anyone's ever seen, because the only way anybody's going to buy a government bond is if somehow it's backed by Bitcoin. They can figure that out now. They can figure that out at the end of May, but they are going to figure it out. And by the way, this fits very much into something that we've been telling people in the YouTube member area, because again, this is a very interesting moment where kind of the sales pitch meets the research. Did crypto just reverse course? Bold crypto predictions that will shock you. Yeah. So everyone's declaring crypto winter, and Toby Ward is like, how about banana zone? How about it? Anybody want to talk about a banana? They're like, well, I thought it was winter and the banana was frozen. No, it's not, bro. No, it's not. And I'm telling you this, even though it's boring for crypto people, all the nice people who are left, like you, like my YouTube members, like my people in Patreon, the people who are left, they're the sole survivors. They're climbing out of the cave because guess what? Winter is over. Matter of fact, it was never winter. It was a correction. And a correction in a bull market makes everyone thinks it's winter right before it happens. Because I got news for you. Even though Bitcoin may be boring to you, Bitcoin is about to get very exciting for everyone in legacy. Everybody who does stocks, bonds, junk bonds, pension funds, endowments, all this stuff, they're about to become Bitcoin maximalists. Thanks to the orange man, thanks to Jerome Powell, thanks to the dollar, people are going to go, wow, this Bitcoin thing is for real. And you know what? I'm telling you right now, this is the thing that Toby has been saying. And, Toby says these things, and then it takes your friendly neighborhood knuckle dragger, like, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks to figure out, like, what is this woman talking about? Like, she's been talking about the banana zone. And this thing just this cascades. It goes down, it goes down, it goes down. Where's the banana zone? Well, guess what, people? We just entered the banana zone. We just entered it. And of course, if you have the 495 emoji plan, you can go nuts with the green button, the Toby Ward emoji, and I believe we have a banana in there as well. You don't think this can go banana zone? What happens when everyone in Legacy discovers Bitcoin? I'm going to tell you. They're not going to care what price they pay. You know how we sit around in crypto Twitter and go, well, the resistance is at 83K, and I'm looking for a rotation down to 75, and then I'll take profits at 88. No. When that mentality breaks permanently, perhaps, when the Legacy guys come in, you know what? I just want it. It's like what's going on in gold. Like, do you think anyone cares who needs gold, whether they're paying $2,200 or $3,300? If they're paying less than $5,000, it's cheap. If you're buying Bitcoin below 100, it's cheap. Matter of fact, I'm starting to come of the opinion that if you're buying Bitcoin below 200 or say 150, it could be cheap. 150 is probably a better number. If you're buying Bitcoin below 150, it's cheap. Like, this is, like when Bitcoin went from 20K to 3K, I sort of feel like we're at 7K, about to break through 10 on our way to 20K. People are not going to care. Like, they bought Nvidia and Apple up to a $3 trillion market cap. Crypto as a whole still isn't worth $3 trillion. Do you think anyone cares? Oh, yeah, it's $1 trillion. No, they don't care. They don't care. When you see the risk that some of these like endowments at Ivy League colleges are taking, and that they're market selling, right? They're puking everything out. They're learning the most painful lesson, that if they had had that money sitting in Bitcoin, they would have actually made a lot of money, and they wouldn't be puking their investments. And if they were, they wouldn't be puking them at a loss. Like, people, this is happening. The cracks in Legacy aren't exactly what the media is talking about. So they don't have it exactly right. But let's begin with this. Let's start with this. Inflation is at 1%. Interest rates are at 4%. Now, why is that? Well, because Jerome Powell is in the same group as Klaus Schwab, the Supreme Court, and all the other bad guys that are out there. This whole thing where, we have to leave Jerome Powell alone because, the Fed is independent. No, it's not. No, it's not. Bernanke, Yellen, Powell, they're like gods. They decide who eats steak and who doesn't. They have screwed up so bad, it's like they were trying to screw up on purpose. And we have to start asking ourselves that question. So if you want to sell the dollar, it's not because, the orange man is tweeting that, Jerome Powell's got to go. And, this is like the stuff that goes on in a third world country. And it is. That's what it looks like on the surface. But what happens if these guys like Powell, these deep state, anti-human, don't like you clowns, are finally getting exposed? What's the worst that can happen? Well, long-term interest rates can go up, crushing inflation, because that's how you permanently crush inflation, by the way. You permanently crush it. That's how it happened in 1980. Now, of course, the way they're doing this and unintended consequences from the tariffs, it's not exactly a graceful process, but inflation is going to die. You're going to have deflation when this is over. You're going to have interest rates at 1% when this is over. You're going to have the dollar massively lower. The dollar's had to go down. Now, I'm sure this whole loss of credibility thing, yeah, okay, it looks bad in the media, but the dollar's got to go down anyway. Dollar's got to go down anyway. Massively, by the way. So let me get this straight. Inflation's dead. Rates are rising. The housing market's going to get nuked. There is no legacy asset that's safe. None. Matter of fact, there's more evidence that there could be more market selling in legacy assets. There's no way to trade AI, except for Bitcoin, except for crypto, which is why you're getting Toby Ward's glorious decoupling right before your eyes. Right before your eyes. It's happening. It's happening. And not this group, not Toby, not the Eagle King, not me, not anybody listening to this was buying in to this whole winter BS. Because not only did everyone leave, but when they start talking about winter, it means I'm leaving and I'm not coming back. Excellent. Thank you. I'm sorry. We'll leave the door open, right? We're not going to lock the door so that everybody can just come on back in. Because that's what's about to happen. Because I suggest you come back in before the 800-pound gorillas go, wow, we really need to own Bitcoin. And we never cared what we paid for NVIDIA. We never cared what we paid for Apple. And we're not going to care what we pay for Bitcoin. We're not. And that's going to start happening right now. Matter of fact, they're doing you a favor with your surprise holiday rally. I was saying, market loves to do a little surprise. Market looked like it was going to go to zero early Sunday, and then boom. All right, let's welcome who's here. I know we did this. People maybe didn't get notified. We'll get everybody going on here again. The great Santini, good morning. DC Precise. Coffee and the market update. What goes better? Forget about it. Wrong again. Members. Yav. All members. Donato, welcome. Today's Tech Bites with that McAfee emoji. What's going on? Right? Daniel J. Bubba Smith. Cosmic Contrarian, a new member. The Patriot Caveman. A Better Shot, a member. Welcome. Daniel J. The World Economic Forum. I have an answer for you. It's called Bitcoin. Steve J. The DeFi Master. After this OHM thing, I think they're going to want to do DeFi and RWA on ETH. Ooh, I think so. Art, happy Easter, bro. Hopefully you're not working at the Amsterdam airport in the middle of the night. All my YouTube members, you are locked and ready to go. Okay, so meet Toby Ward. Toby told you a year ago, more than that, this thing was going to decouple, and when it was, the whole world was going to change. She told you 2025 was going to be unlike any year you've ever seen. She told you this sector and that sector, and she told you the order to trade it in, and I don't know what more she can do for you. So come on in, come visit us every week, Tuesday and Thursday. Now, Mr. Schwab from the World Economic Forum, who believes that the best outcome is that you eat bugs, the preferred outcome is that we just have less humans. That's their agenda, right? Now, you may not believe that, and that's okay. But if you've been somewhat miserable, somewhat unhappy, or somewhat curious as to what in the AF is going on in the world, this is the type of character that's been leading the way. Like, whose idea was it to spend $1 trillion every 5 months? Well, probably not his, but it smells like Soros, right? This guy, Soros, the ideology behind these people are the real reasons why the dollar's got to go lower. Because we've been buying into this for 5 years, maybe longer. Maybe longer. That's why the dollar's got to go lower, because we haven't been responsible, right? We allowed a lot of this strange ideology to permeate leadership, education. That's why the dollar's got to go lower. Now, of course, the orange man on Twitter after Jerome Powell, yeah, we'll go over that, right? But you know what? What's the difference between this guy, certain court justices, Brandon, Soros, and Jerome Powell? There is no difference. There's no difference. Now, is that crazy? Yeah. So was me bull posting into crypto winter 2 days ago. Alex saying, you know, we have two justices on this big court who believe in, you know, getting rid of bad guys, and everybody else strangely isn't into that. Who's on your side? Let me give you the answer to that. You are. Don't think you need privacy? You do. Don't think you need Bitcoin? You do. You think Bitcoin is boring? Think again. It's these characters that you got to get away from. It's these characters that want to take your sovereignty. And here's the great thing. When you hit the green button emoji in the $4.99 plan, you can get your sovereignty back. Okay, so meanwhile, back at the Legacy Ranch, okay, things are not going so good. No, not at all. Man Group, a huge hedge fund's assets fell by $5.6 billion in the first half of April. 2 weeks, $5.6 billion. Poof. All of the four main computer-driven hedge funds lost money during the first quarter and worsened their decline in April as the models struggled to change direction quickly enough to avoid the market routes. Multi-strategy, ManStrategy 1783 also gave up some of its gains. Are we losing money in Legacy? Is sell bonds, sell stocks, sell dollars programmed into any computer model? No. Do any portfolio managers that are currently working, have they seen a debacle like this? 2008 was 15 years ago. And the only guys who have seen stuff like this, most of them are not nice, you know? I mean, Dalio's a savage. He's out there short everything. I get it. But a lot of these other characters want to watch the world burn. I think Dalio does too. But that's okay. He's short. He has a position. But he's not taking Bitcoin into account. He's not. None of these characters are. How the hell can you have a multi-strategy hedge fund with no Bitcoin? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the extent that these people have their heads up there is so epic. When they finally come in, they're not going to care what price they pay. Right? They're not. Because it's like, oh, okay, well, we have to allocate. Our machine is blowing up. Now we just have to push the Bitcoin button and put the Bitcoin thing into our machine. And they'll go from 0 or 1 or 2% allocation to 3, 5, 10, or 20% allocation. Wait until you see Schwab's new recommended asset allocation after this 60-40 thing meets its final end. Now, we have some problems over there in the Ivy League, which, you know, I'm all broken up about, being a Rutgers guy from New Jersey, living in the shadows of all these guys, having to try to outcompete them for Wall Street jobs back in the day. It seems that, you know, the current administration is not happy with their ideology, specifically their admissions process. And they're like, well, even though this is a little dangerous, they're like, you know what? We're not giving you any federal money. I can't believe they were ever getting federal money to begin with. We're not giving you federal money. And, oh, by the way, we're so unhappy that we're going to pull your tax exempt status. We're going to consider you a for-profit organization. So how do you like that? Now, you know, if they do it to Harvard and Yale, somebody can do it to other colleges in the future. It's dangerous. But I don't feel sorry for those guys at all, because they're sitting on endowments that have like tens of billions of dollars. Tens of billions. Now, if they've lost their funding and they have to pay taxes, guess what? Their endowment has to start selling. And they have to start selling at the market, right? It's only a matter of time before Harvard starts selling whatever it's in its portfolio. Maybe they have to issue debt. Good luck with that. Nobody's issuing debt. The debt market's frozen. So they got to market sell stocks, and they've already market sold, right? Private equity. Yale got out of the gate first and probably sold their private equity portfolio. That's kind of like venture capital in a bundle. Yeah. They sold their private equity portfolio probably for half of what it was worth. And then Harvard is hyper levered and hyper exposed to private equity, and there's no liquidity. You're going to find out why BlackRock wants tokenized assets. These characters are going to have to sell at the market, right? This is the symbol, sell 500 at the market. That's how we used to do it at the exchange. They're going at the market. Just sell, just sell, just sell. It's not going to stop. And Bitcoin, looking at this and the dollar and all this stuff, it's got nowhere to go, in my opinion, but up. And Bitcoin can take a break if they really hammer equities. But at this point, every Bitcoin fan is a Bitcoin maximalist. And ironically, the major Bitcoin maximalists are quantitative equities portfolio managers. Like the Bitcoin maximalists that are developing in equities in the US are bigger than the Bitcoin maximalists like Michael Saylor. He has the bigger position, but believe it or not, the guys in Legacy have the better argument. They have the better argument. And Saylor's picking up on it. Don't worry. 2020, April, leveraged finance market. Junk bonds, no deals, nothing happening. Loans, nothing. Nobody getting loans, nobody issuing junk bonds. Banks, 2 hung deals this week, meaning we were doing it and now we're not doing it. Right? The liquidity in the system, as this Jordy says, is breaking day by day. Done. That means Bessent has to come in and Powell has to come in. Or if they don't, then we just watch it all melt down and then they come in. Either way, this is massively bullish Bitcoin. Like insanely so, even if it takes a week to develop. China's M2 money supply. All right, so everyone's running around on crypto Twitter. They've got their money supply versus Bitcoin graph. That's fine. You just got to understand that most of this money that's being put in the system is being put in by China to absorb literally their entire stock market. That's what's going on in China. And when the orange man puts pressure on them with the tariffs, he's putting pressure on their currency and he's putting pressure on their whole system, which is broken to begin with. So are they going to print? Oh, yeah. Indiscriminately. Now, that may wind up affecting things in Hong Kong, right? I don't know if this money directly goes into Bitcoin, but some of this money does wind up in Hong Kong, particularly if there are capital controls put in place where people can't get their money out of Hong Kong. When you have a currency crisis, you can't let money out of the country. It's very complicated. All you have to know is that you put pressure on the Chinese and they're going to put pressure on us. If they put pressure on us, you're going to have turmoil in Legacy, which leads everybody to Bitcoin. Hong Kong, New York, London, everywhere. Everywhere. And by the way, it's crypto winter, by the way. Okay, Chinese warn it will retaliate against companies aligning with the U.S. on trade. Whoops. Whoops. I think the orange man's only way out of this is to get a trade deal done with Japan, declare victory, and leave. Or say they're going to use the tariff money to buy Bitcoin. They got themselves a little bit of problem here. And guess what? The only way out of it is to have Powell and Bessent print massively. Massively. Treasury QE and Fed QE. It's going to happen. It's just a question of what price Legacy has to go to, and we'll go through those charts. Okay, so gold is up only. This is getting old. I mean, that's not old. I mean, it's just like, we're watching gold go up, right? Because, people out there are short gold. And if, everybody who wanted gold, who has a receipt, piece of paper that says they have gold, they could never deliver. So that's why this is up only. But I can't understand why we were declaring crypto winter with this happening. There's no way, right? Retail is underexposed to gold ETFs. No one's interested in gold ETFs. Some people may be interested in Bitcoin ETFs, but most of those people are traders. The general public and investing funds have not gotten involved in either the gold ETFs or the Bitcoin ETFs. And can you imagine what happens when that changes? There's only one way to go. It's only one way, especially with winter and everyone closing the door, lock the door on the way out because I'm leaving crypto and I'm never coming back. Like, just as a personal aside, you can't imagine how hard it is. Like when the market's going up or the markets are going down, you know, it's a little easier to do a 1 hour talk show. When the market is like this and everyone's packing it in and you're the bullish village idiot, it's much harder. Or it's much harder when the market is stagnant. But I don't care. I don't care. Because you know what? I'm the only legacy guy on television, seriously, telling you, I've seen this before. I know what this means, and all roads lead to Bitcoin. There's 2 other guys doing it, but I'm the one on YouTube for retail. Gold-backed versus USD-backed stablecoins. What's the difference? Okay, so we're all down on the dollar now. It's like the dollar's going to zero, and we need to have stablecoins backed by gold. Okay, so that's not practical because the storage costs of gold, I don't know. It makes it difficult to have a stable coin because are you going to pay a fee to use a gold-backed stable coin? Well, the only reason you would do that isn't because the stable coin is for dollars. The reason the stable coin problem can be dangerous is if they have treasury bonds or treasury bills in there and there's some sort of shock wave that goes through the treasury market. Like, I wouldn't touch, like, I'd be getting out of stable coins. You either go to cash or Bitcoin. Not because it's going to be like, you know, FTX. It's not like that. But you can have disturbances in the bond market that can create minor disturbances in stable coins. That can happen. So it's not that they represent the dollar. It's the treasury securities that they hold. And no one's talking about that, right? Because the legacy problem can move to crypto. And I would prefer to stay out of that negativity because I don't think that that's the ultimate way to look at this. I just think you have to look at what they call inelastic demand for Bitcoin. In other words, they're not going to care what they pay. And if that's true, that pulls multiple other sectors in crypto with it. Just in case you thought I forgot about altcoins again. AI-based altcoins in the YouTube member area 2 weeks ago. And the guys in Patreon were on separate altcoins on their own. Meanwhile, everyone else is telling you it's winter. 4 years ago today, somebody bought this JPEG for $69 million. Today, it's worth $20K. Okay. So crypto has this, you know, self-installed kill switch. Let's do something stupid and blow it all up. Boom. Okay. But this is what they're writing about. They're not writing about maybe you should buy this for $19K or maybe there's some other art out there that you should take a look at. Right? By the way, this little self-destruct button, yeah, Legacy's got one now. It could be called the Orange Man's Twitter feed. Right? I mean, who knew? Who knew? Okay, so, you know, Treasury Secretary is now trying to get a deal with Japan. So basically they're trying to say, well, we got a deal with Japan. Let's declare victory and leave. We're done. Thank you. Thank you for everybody who called the White House. Please buy some treasuries on your way out. Thank you. Done. And get this off the air. Get it off the air, or they can just continue to dig in and have the dollar spiral lower and have bonds and all this stuff. And you have a full-on crisis, which is going to lead people to reallocate money to Bitcoin with an absolute vengeance. Okay, so Elon is unfollowing the Treasury Secretary. So there's a lot of dimensions to this, right? You know, Bessent could take the fall for all the problems here. Elon could be throwing a tantrum because running around with the chainsaw and doing this whole mania Doge thing and, you know, having like a Doge world tour came a little bit of a problem when people started attacking Teslas paid for by Klaus Schwab and the bug eaters. They cut $150 billion and they said they were going to do $1 trillion. This is a problem for the bond market because they're still spending. And we said this, right? They were going to cut spending and Congress was going to continue on their merry way as the one independent congressman, the new Ron Paul, the new Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, spending is the real tax. Regardless of taxes or tariffs, when the government spends money, somebody will pay. If not through taxes, through inflation, and tomorrow's taxes to service the debt. Okay? You want to talk about you want to talk about the reason to buy Bitcoin? This guy just gave it to you. There's only one elected person in DC who will tell you this. We have a massive deficit. We're still spending. Still spending. We are losing the ability to control interest rates. You never had the ability to control interest rates. The bond market controls interest rates. People are just like waking up to that now because the bond market's had enough and the bond market's afraid of the Chinese, as they should be. Tax cuts without spending cuts will damage the country. So if Elon wanted to cut $1 trillion and Elon can't do it, get someone else in to cut $1 trillion. Because if you don't cut $1 trillion, bond yields are not going to stop going up, which creates a housing crash. Okay, which brings in inflation to zero or negative. Now the good news is kids will finally be able to find a house. But what kind of problems do you have in the meantime? And how is the whole world going to function in that scenario? Bitcoin is the monetary system. DeFi runs on ETH, right? Real WA maybe runs on Ondo. Not to mention, how do you trade AI? Because you've heard about everything here except AI, and that's been moving in crypto for a week. That was moving before Bitcoin was moving. Okay, now, Powell, let's talk about it. So, the French, who have never been wrong about anything ever, right? The guys who designed the Olympic ceremony that you can no longer find on television or on YouTube, they say that President Trump would put the credibility of the US dollar online if they fired Jerome Powell. Don't you love how Jerome Powell's all of a sudden become a hero? Oh, poor Jerome. The orange man's picking on me. Wah. Okay, bro. You sat around and we're still printing $85 billion a month when rates were at zero and inflation post-cough, cold, and flu was already off to the races. I mean, this guy presided over everything at Costco, 5Xing literally while he was in office. Remember that story that the guy who, hadn't used Walmart pickup in a while and he had his order in his cart that was like $180 and the new price was $420, something like that. This guy presided over everything at Costco, 5Xing. Then he over-tightened, broke the banks, broke the consumer. Nobody can get a car loan. Credit card interest rates are 25%. And really, the only thing that broke inflation, honestly, was when the orange man came in and broke equities. That's what really broke inflation. I mean, inflation was probably slowing to where it wasn't, 10%. But what broke inflation was when they broke equities. But, let's pour our heart out from Jerome, from France, and the rest of these deep state people who either want you to disappear or eat bugs and then disappear. We're going to listen to the French. I don't think so. Orange Man wants to pick on Jerome Powell. The optics are horrible for the dollar and for the bond market. But you know what, folks? It was going to happen anyway. So it's not happening because we're picking on Jerome Powell. It's happening because it's time. It's time for bonds. It's time for the dollar, and it's time for Bitcoin. The gold market has been telling you that. Orange Man calls for preemptive cuts, dooming the dollar if President channels Nixon. Okay? Powell has been too late, except when it comes to the election period, when he lowered it in order to help Sleepy Joe get elected. He put high-powered money in the system in September of 2024 to make sure that Brandon had a Merry Christmas. You think this guy's not partisan, you better think again. You better think again. And you know what? I'm perfectly okay with the orange man leaning all over this guy. I am. Now, the optics are horrible. The tweets are horrible. It's cheesy. Everyone's like, oh, God, it's Nixon. Oh, God, it's the end. No. It's funny. Everybody was like, let's get rid of the Fed. Everyone's like, yeah, and the Fed. Get rid of the Fed. Everyone's like, yeah, let's get rid of the Fed. Now it's like, let's send this Let's just send this guy whose performance record is clearly horrendous. Let's send him packing. I was like, oh, no, we can't do that. That might affect my legacy portfolio. Oh no. Let's not touch Jerome Powell. I mean, he's a saint. You know, the Fed is a church. Oh, we can't touch that. Yeah, okay. Orange Man's going to have a little something to say about it. And I don't mind. But since I'm a Bitcoin guy, everyone is looking at this. I was like, I think we should look at Bitcoin. It's like, yeah, I think you should. Crypto Bros, the legacy guys like, hey, Crypto Bros, come back in here. Come on back. Where you going? Run down the road. Stop the van. US dollar goes no bid. Hey, folks, I got news for you. This is not the first time the US dollar has gone no bid. And it's not even got no bid. The dollar index is at 98. So what? You start talking about no bid when the dollar is at 70. Because that's where it was back in 2002. It went to 70. This is not no bid. No bid is probably coming. But so what? Makes U.S. goods competitive, right? It gets people to stop hiding in a dollar deposit and then go, okay, well, this dollar's not really working out. What can I buy instead of the dollar? Well, I don't know. Gee, equity's no good. Bonds no good. Private equity no good. What's left? The one and only. And the rising tide is going to lift all boats. Because you know why? Because no one's long. No one's long. I mean, how can they be long? It's winter. They're out. They left. Literally, they left. People aren't just bearish. They just said, done. And what happens when they come back? Now, meanwhile, the US dollar is now used for 50% of global payments. The highest level in more than 12 years. Okay. So you're not replacing the dollar with the Chinese currency, just saying. This whole BRICS, oh yeah, we're going to have our toilet paper replace the dollar. Yeah, I don't think so. I think the way to look at it is gold and Bitcoin. And I think there are other things inside crypto because again, when you start looking at all the currency choices available, right? There's Bitcoin, there's ETH, there's Solana. Oh, don't forget about XRP. I can't believe we're going to have a debate about what currency to use. And we're not going to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and XRP. It's incredible. Oh my God, there's a problem with the dollar. Maybe the problem is that the digital assets that replace the dollar are too cheap. Like, hey, do you want to buy the Chinese currency when they're printing it? I don't know. Is there even a term? What's the new currency? XRP price coiled for significant move. As this looks just like 2024, and it does, and I got the analog to prove it. I got the analog to absolutely prove it. As a matter of fact, let's just go to it right now. You know, his joke about the one chart market update. It says the one chart market update, right? So I got a computer that says, okay, take the last 180 days in Bitcoin and match it up with something from the past. Give me the best match you can. So for the 180-day period, the computer is matching whatever's happening now with whatever was going on in October of 2024, when nobody thought the market would rally. Nobody had the election result in mind. Same thing happened in the fourth quarter of 2023, right? Same price action. You know, you sit. Everyone's bored out. Everyone thinks it's winter. You know, then you have a little rally and then it comes off and everyone's like, well, okay, that was it. And then boom. You don't think this can happen? I got news for you. Who thinks it can happen? I got news for you. You ignore this analyst at your own peril. Because guess what, people? She's been right. I mean, what's the best sales pitch? Oh, I've been right. Oh, okay. Come pay us a visit. Bitcoin pushes past 87 as dollar crashes. Okay. Can we talk about the dollar for a second? I love this. Dollar crashes. The dollar is down, right? Okay. So this is the dollar index on a quarterly basis, just so we're clear, right? All right. So the dollar is coming up on support at 96 on a DeMark chart, right? And this has been a huge level, huge. Like the dollar cracked here in 2003. You know, the dollar exploded to 111 when everyone's like, the Fed's tightening forever. The dollar's going up forever. Bloomberg got like, for the picture of the dollar on the front page of the magazine. Please. Okay, folks, just so we're clear, this is a dollar crash. This is 1985. This is a dollar crash. Okay. This is a red candle. It's not a dollar crash. Right? This is the third time as a charm. And this is why people are just going to go, you know what? Because you know who has these charts? You know who knows about stuff like this? Is people in legacy. Guys my age, right? Certain guys, you know, the guys running the mechanical hedge funds, they don't get it. The multi-strategy hedge fund, where we mess around with stupid little treasury spreads for $1 trillion, but don't have any Bitcoin. And they've never seen a dollar devaluation, because that's what's happening. You ever heard me say the only way out of a debt crisis is to devalue the currency? I know you've heard it. I know. And even if you like the show and you like the group, you don't care, because it doesn't mean anything. Nothing happens. Guess what? When you have a debt crisis, you devalue the currency. Now, if the media and Doomberg and the French government want to tell you it's because the orange man's trashing Powell, fine. You believe whatever you want to believe. At the end of the day, this is not a crash. It will be. It's going to be a very sharp downtrend. Like when this got started, like when Greenspan really had to start cutting rates, because he was jamming rates higher to stop the dot-com bubble, to just kill it. I mean, he was like, wow, this is out of control. ECB was at it too. The ECB was hiking rates even after NASDAQ rolled over. I mean, the ECB was like, yeah, we're going to kick this thing for good measure. But once Greenspan had to start unwinding that, because, you know, you had accounting problems, you had a dot-com stock crash, 9/11, and all this, Greenspan just had to cut rates. Just, you know, just whoosh. The rates went straight down. And so did the dollar. I mean, this is a quarterly chart, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarters. 6 out of the next 7 quarters were down. But this is a dollar crash. Oh my God. No, folks, that's the dollar crash. And that's coming. This isn't even really a crash. It's just a very rapid down move, which the foreign exchange market is famous for. It was the original kind of altcoin of the legacy system, where you were allowed to use charts. Like in the 90s, if you used charts in equities, you had to do it in a bar with your friends. You couldn't do it in the office. You couldn't. And that was true even up until like 2000, honestly. Okay. So for everybody who thinks it's a devaluation, meanwhile, what are we doing in Bitcoin? Well, we're day trading. So here's the thing that's funny. And I have respect for these people. I'm not dissing. But the people who haven't left have resorted to day trading, right? Because that's all there is to do. You know, Bitcoin goes up, you fade it, you sell it. It goes back down, you buy it. It goes back up. Everyone thinks it's going to break out, you sell it. Everyone pukes it out. But then it comes back to the top of the range, and then they're like, okay, all right, you're going to sell it here? Go ahead, make my day. You can Google who said that. Go ahead, make my day. Now, yeah, could it come off? Yes. You know, day trading guys feed on people like me who are screaming for the breakout. All I know is if it breaks out and you get 2 daily closes above this DeMark level at 89, you're going to 102. It's going to be a range reset, right? The range right now is 75 to 89, and then they're going to reset the range from 89 to 102, period. End of story. Meanwhile, you know, Solana, it's like it's dead. Solana hasn't done anything. If you look at price, Solana's done nothing since January of 2024. Nothing. And I saw Galaxy Digital put a proposal together like, hey, you know, this Solana node that we have, yeah, you know, maybe we should do something about reducing inflation, because offering everybody free trading that's not free is not working out. What happens if this thing gets going? You know what I'm saying? Like, This has done absolutely nothing. And there are a lot of DeMark signals here that would indicate that a bottom is in. The bottom in Solana is in. And if they take out this level here at 147, this thing could have some punch to it. And of course, you know, like I'm saying, and we'll go back to news, this is just totally dead, right? It's totally dead. People have given up for it. Meanwhile, I think these guys have been subtly telling you that they can get it turned around. Nobody is going to do real world assets on an unreliable network. Nobody. And if you don't think we need real world assets, well, you should call up Harvard and Yale and ask them what kind of liquidity are they getting on their private equity portfolio. Now, I know don't really necessarily understand what that is. And I don't necessarily understand exactly what that is. But all you have to know is there are huge markets in legacy that they have no liquidity, none. What happens in crypto when there's no liquidity? When they liquidate, when Binance pulls everyone's levered betting chips off the table in a thin market, what happens? You just wick. You just whoosh. See ya. And that's probably going to happen. It may happen in S&P, right? Which RWA segment will boom next? All of them. Just the question is, what network does it trade on, right? Like Ondo is definitely going to need, it's going to need BlackRock to put their arm around it and give it its blessing, right? It's like Schwab is in. This is how you know it's going to happen. This is how you know. Luckily, they did it when it was at 80K, not when it was at 200. What you got to realize about retail is that Fidelity has a full suite of crypto products. Like you can have the equivalent of a Coinbase account at Fidelity. You can have a brokerage account connected to a banking account, connected to a crypto account, all in one place, all at Fidelity, all set up, ready to go. Schwab and these characters, they have nothing like that. I can have a little Robinhood, but can you roll your 401k or your IRA? Maybe. But Fidelity's got the whole thing all set up. So even if Schwab can't get positioned from an infrastructure point of view, their research people are actually very smart. I used to work there. They are smart. They are my age, and they are looking at what's going on here. And it is a question of time before they put out a note to their massive customer base and say, you know what, we think you should go to 5% Bitcoin. Or before their intelligent automated portfolio, which is losing money because it's 60% stocks and 40% bonds. There are choices. You can be 70 stocks, 30 bonds. How's that working out? Down 20%. You can be conservative and be 50% bonds. How's that working out? Terrible. How long do you think it's going to take before gold and Bitcoin are inside of these legacy portfolio ideas? It's not. It's happening like right now. Okay, so the orange man on the defensive. You criticize tariffs, you're bad at business, right? Very, very, very defensive these days. Very defensive. Okay, why the Bitcoin standard matters. Okay, here's Mike on another podcast explaining to you what you should already know. It's all going to come unglued, and then when it does, the only thing left is Bitcoin. Sounds boring, but you got to remember, throughout the history of crypto, Bitcoin has been the tide that lifts all boats. We have forgotten that in order to get crypto going, you need Bitcoin to be explosive. Bitcoin has been like a stable coin practically over the last 6 months. Yeah, it's 95. It's 78. Yeah, it's 85. It's like a stock. It's about to become Bitcoin again. Okay, Michael Saylor picks up some Bitcoin at 84. We're so close to his average price. He's got nothing to lose. For him, this is Christmas. Literally. It's Easter. Really, it was Christmas. MetaPlanet pays 85. Why not? They paid 100. They paid 100. At 85, it's got to look cheap. And Mike's telling you right here. I gave you the long-winded version. Mike was like, it's the one tweet market update. Right? No company, no creditors, no currency, no competitor. And chaos makes it go up. That's it. That's it. And the day traders are going to sell at 88. They're going to sell. So think about it. Everyone's gone. Legacy people are having inelastic demand, right? And crypto people are going to short it. They're going to short it. They are. The Bitcoin office up only. The Bitcoin price on Easter. So last year, Bitcoin was at 70. Do you know how many people were calling for 72 and winter 2 days ago? 3 days ago. They were all calling for ETH, for Bitcoin to go to 72. That's where it was on Easter a year ago. Just a reminder, Bitcoin in 2021 got as high as 69 and was at 58 on Easter. Now, yeah, we don't want to see it go to 58. But I mean, you know, you got paid to buy this stuff when it was down. You got paid to buy it in 2019 on Easter at 5K. The low was 3. On April of 2019, it was at 5K, and I'm pretty sure by July it was at 13K. Okay, so let's just get all gaudy. First of all, I want to thank Big Rich and the guys in the Patreon group for helping me keep an eye on Render, for helping me keep an eye on AI. I mean, Toby was all over AI. We had 5 coins out, like, I don't know, at least a month ago, going AI, 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 AI. I mean, I don't know. Couldn't have said it. She couldn't have said it more. Okay, so a little trivia on Render. Okay, so Render's had this robust move from $2.50 to $4.60. Now, just for giggles, that means Render is 88% off of its low. So a basic AI coin is already up 88%, and we have clowns talking to me about winter. Okay. So again, note the day traders all selling at the 200-day moving average. How's that working out? Right? It went to the 200-day moving average. It was resistance, but it didn't back off. Normally, if it's going to break down, it touches it. It's touch and go. So if Bitcoin was 88% off of its low, like Render, ironically, it would be at a fib circle point at 144. Who thinks Bitcoin could go to 144? Nobody. Nobody. You know what? Everybody except the guy at Harvard who has to market sell a private equity portfolio. He's like, oh, wow. Everything I'm holding is going to zero, and this could double. And it makes sense, right? Because if you don't understand what's going on in the dollar, do you really have to be a genius to know, oh, well, gee, problem with the Federal Reserve, president and the Fed are not getting along. Is that good for the currency? Do you need an MBA to know that? I don't think so. I don't think so. And then, of course, if you really want to pile on and look at equities, here's what we got in S&P. So S&P, this is a LuxAlgo triangle. Legacy S&P breaks out at the bottom, comes back up. Everything's fine, right? Well, guess what, folks? S&P is at its equilibrium. At its equilibrium. There's nothing oversold about S&P. You want to get S&P oversold? Take it down 18% from 5,100 to 4,000. That's the discount zone in S&P. NASDAQ futures. NASDAQ futures hit the discount zone, bounced. And now to get to the bottom of the discount zone, that's another 10% in technology. Now, since there's really, no, you know, maybe the Magnificent Seven has been smashed, but you don't think we could wick down 15% in stocks? Just a reminder, you know, stocks can go down 5% during the day, but then they put in circuit breakers. But then in the last hour, they can do whatever they want. Now, I don't know. Does that mean Bitcoin's going to outperform forever? Nothing outperforms forever, right? So if stocks get crazy, Bitcoin could dip. But the Bitcoin ETF, right? The Bitcoin ETF. Where's the Bitcoin ETF up 80% off of its low? Let's see. Does it get to 100? Let's see. Some really sophisticated TA here. I don't know. How about 80? How about 80? Oh, okay. Well, you don't like this. All right, let's do something else then. How about a good old-fashioned measured move, right? So this was the move in the Bitcoin ETF on the way up. It went up 113%. And then it'll go up, you know, the same sort of distance, not necessarily percentage terms. How about the Bitcoin ETF at 76? You don't think people are going to buy this? Oh, by the way, did I mention that hedge funds are giga short MicroStrategy? They're giga shorted. And there's a LuxAlgo formation right here where if they break out, and all the crypto coins have got this, all the AI coins have got this, right? They all have it. They're all breaking out of these downward sloping formations. Somebody, again in Patreon, right? Where we have community. You know, I dramatically undersell this. The community in Patreon, for what that costs, okay? Fetch.AI broke out of one of these LuxAlgo formations right at the apex. It was the perfect mega breakout. And someone's going to tell me that we're not going to need a decentralized AI future. This AI thing is happening to such a degree that if crypto led by Bitcoin is the only place to trade it, these altcoins, these cryptos, which everyone has given up for dead, can come back in spectacular fashion. Spectacular fashion. You know, especially since we're having a dollar crash. We're not having a dollar crash yet. We're having a dollar crash when it's like, you know, oh my God, the Fed has to come in and do QE to unlock the bond market, because you cannot have a non-functioning corporate bond market. You can't, right? Even if you're a deep state power tool, you can't work at the Fed or the Treasury and have capital markets not function. Like even the Chinese and the European and the Japanese central banks know this. You cannot have markets that don't function. That actually be the purpose of the Fed. Laughably, right? They're going to need cooperation. You know what? If they don't get it, it's just going to spiral out of control. And Michael Saylor has already told you. So if your friends have left, tell them to come back. If you're not in Patreon, get in Patreon. If you're not listening to Toby Ward, I almost can't help you. I almost can't help you. You know, she comes up with the view. We give the specific view to the clients. We give them the picks, the specific coin picks, right? So you get picks in Patreon, but this is it, folks. This is it. You know, it's like, this is the crypto move for the ages. And we charge 1/3 of what other people are charging. For research from analysts, you will never find somebody with her abilities who talks to a Wall Street analyst on a podcast and makes picks and recommendations and then broadcasts that out. Where are you going to find that? Just saying, man. She called the decoupling. She deserves some accolades. And hopefully our clients believe that we have earned their business. We would love the opportunity to earn yours. That's the market update for today. I'm your host, Bill Noble, on behalf of Toby and the Eagle King. We will see you tomorrow.